So we're live, right? Good afternoon. This is the Board of Standards and Appeals Public Review Session for July 13th, 2020, 2 p.m. session. The first case, should I start, Madam Chair? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
The first case is 389-85BZ, 2090 Bronxdale Avenue, the Bronx.
Okay, this is a review session, so we don't take public testimony during the review session, and we're going to be listening to the review session first and then go to the public hearing on this. So if you're in the waiting room, you're going to need to wait until we call your case in the hearing. So with respect to this case, Commissioner Sheta put a site visit photo into the record to that shows 2 drums next to the trash enclosures. So thank you for doing that. I'd like to know what those are. We usually find that there's some kind of hazardous material that shouldn't be stored on site.
So I called, I'm sorry, may I interrupt?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I called I had left a voicemail for the applicant earlier in the week, last week, and unfortunately, he didn't receive the voicemail, but I spoke to him on Friday and mentioned to him there was a site visit and there were 2 drums and that they should be removed if they're not supposed to be there. And also, Commissioner Sheta raised an issue about the plotting of the site for the gas lines, because they say they can't put the planting in.
Yes.
So they, the applicant copied me on an email to the client, but apparently, I believe, and he'll explain it in his, when he comes to the hearing, there was a master plan that they used. So I don't know if they can provide something that will satisfy the board or give a response to the board. And they're looking at the things, yeah.
Okay, that's part of my comments too. Okay, so, all right, thank you. So I note also that the photo shows there's a trash enclosure gate that's not attached to the masonry wall. It's just sort of flopping in the breeze. So it means that the gate isn't standing up straight. So that needs to be properly attached. Photos that the applicant provided on June 24th show the asphalt on the side cracked and in need of surfacing. We discussed this at the first hearing and we're told it would be done. And I understand, of course, we've had some intervening events that might have made that impossible, but we would like to get that repaired. There's a statement in the cover letter, which is referring to what Tony Matias just said. There's a statement in the cover letter without technical support that it isn't advisable to put in-ground planting beds along Brady Avenue due to the presence of underground gas lines. That's what Ms. Matias was talking about. The proposal instead is to install a fence. The applicant needs to provide support for this assertion of underground gas lines and where they are. And by the way, if fencing can be installed, they require footings, as does the low curb that's existing there with the guardrail that's currently installed. And in the event that it can't be dug, then I would say above ground planting beds could also be installed instead, into which the dense shrubbery could be planted to buffer this use from the residents across the street. Because at the moment, the residents, there's just nothing. And I don't find a fence that meets the desired aesthetic when that's what we're talking about. It's a residential neighborhood and you're putting up almost any kind of a fence. And it seems to me that that you're not accomplishing the task. Sorry, someone needs to mute. There's someone on that needs to mute. Maybe that's...
Yeah, John, that was John Daly.
Okay, John, yes, stay muted, please. So I want to say that, you know, it's a kind of a harsh use, and I don't think a fence is the way that you soften the edge between the use and the residential. I didn't find a property address anywhere on the drawings, only a block and lot number. So please, I mean, I have trouble with this because there's a title block on drawings. The title block is there for the address of the building. I'm always so surprised that we don't see sort of standard things on drawings. Actually, also in terms of the drawings, the PDFs are too light. especially the elevations and the arrows. Some of the text is too light. So you see text with like floating there without an arrow actually pointing to the thing. So the drawings need to be resubmitted, and the applicant must check before submitting that the resolution of the text and the arrows and the line weights and so on are clear. We read PDFs. The PDFs is what is being submitted. We're no longer having hard copy submission that the commissioners see. And in fact, I think now under this situation, we're having no hard copy submissions. So the PDFs must be clear and checked before submitted. 2 car vacuums and 1 air tower are noted on the plan with arrows that point to nothing. So again, that's the lack of clarity. And according to the photos, the 2 air towers and 1 vacuum are against the building. So there's a mismatch. It shows, the drawings show 2 car vacuums and 1 air tower. And in fact, there seems to be 1 vacuum and 2 air towers in reality based on the photos. And according to the elevations, there are 2 air towers and 2 vacuums. So nothing's coordinated with anything, and in particular with the reality. The ADA parking space needs to be designated and also show the clearance between the open outswinging door to the convenience store and the edge of the curb on the sidewalk that's in front of, that wraps around the building, because I'm not really sure that you do have adequate clearance for a wheelchair to pass an outswinging door, because in order for a wheelchair you need to pass by the door and then open it, and how do they accomplish that? So also the ADA parking space should be shown indicated at the site itself in reality, with a sign, either a sign or the symbol for ADA parking on the asphalt. There are what are called parking signs shown on the elevations. I don't know what that is. So the elevations has these signs called parking signs. Is that no parking? What do the signs say, et cetera? And also relative to the lumen levels, are the lumen levels taken on Brady Avenue field measurements or models based on modeling? They should be field measurements, because I understand the lighting is actually in place. And an administrative notice for everyone who's listening was issued last week, which gives more detailed instructions about how to handle in-field measurements. That should be the guide on how to conduct the measurements for this project as well. Okay, so Commissioner Shanda.
My additional comment is with regards to, because of the issue with the gas distribution line, location of the gas distribution line, the applicant was proposing to relocate one of the signs. Actually,
the sign? Also the signs.
One of the sign that is on the corner of, that was originally proposed to be at the corner of Brady Avenue and Bronx Park East. And the proposal is to move it further into the lot. It would be more along the Bronx Park East. And I think that's a better solution. So regardless of what the outcome happens with the gas line, that probably is a better solution in terms of the location of the signage, as I think the light spillage from that will also have a less of an impact on the adjacent, the residential building that is across the street from Brady Avenue.
Okay, that's good. All right, Commissioner Otley-Brown, thank you.
Yes, my comments have to do with numbers 7 and 8 in the cover letter that say the existing cracks in the asphalt have been repaired and resurfaced where necessary, and the parking stalls on the westerly side of the convenience store have been restriped. From the photos that I was looking at, the June 24th, 2020 compliance photos, this does not appear to be the case. The asphalt is still cracked throughout, and I don't see any nice, freshly painted parking stalls. It looks like faded paint. So I don't know if they submitted the wrong photos or if the work really hasn't been done yet.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Sheta?
Thank you, Chair. I don't want to repeat the comments about the drums, but my comment, and this is general, not just to this applicant. In this application and in another application that we're gonna see probably in a little bit, I see that the conditions at the site are totally different or were not captured in the photos submitted. It doesn't give us a good impression when we go to a site visit and we see conditions that are not captured in the photos. If you have two drums like these and you bring us a photo with these two drums, we gotta mention them like we did today, but you could respond that these drums are such and such and they're gonna be removed in a week or two. That's simple. You don't have to hide these two drums or not capture them in the photo just to blind us. That's not a good tactic. Regarding the lighting, I have the same comment, whether this is field measurement or it's based on modeling, and I suspect, I was tending to believe that it's field measurement because it doesn't cover the entire site. It just covers some spots, but it wasn't mentioned. So we need clarification on that. Also show the lighting units on the lighting diagram or in the plan. If I'm preparing a lighting diagram and I one of the people who look at this understand it and help me if there is something captured incorrectly to be corrected, I would make it clear where are the light pools located, what kind of light pool, what kind of luminous spread goes out from these light. These kind of information help the reviewer to not just to correct errors, but to review that more efficient. So please notate that on the plan. Regarding the gas line, I understand that if there is a gas line, they cannot plant on top of that, but I was wondering why not inbound from that gas line? If the gas line is exactly at the property line, can we offset the planting bed probably 18-inch inside the property and just create a planting bed that's nice, makes the site look nicer? I believe it's doable, unless this gas line is really special gas line and it does have an easement or so. I don't think so, because according to their submission, they said that it goes to the building. So it sounds like it's a small one. Regarding the asphalt repair, I saw in the submission, they mentioned something about repairing asphalt or pavement. Number one, there is no reference to the photos. The photos are not numbered. So please, when you submit photos to us, at least give us an ID plan, location, and number for each photo. And when you refer to one of these photos, just tell us photo number X, not just asphalt was repaired C photos. Which one? Please help me. I have tons of cases and documents to read. So let's cooperate here to expedite the review of these documents. So please number the photos and reference the photo in your submission or in your cover letter. And if they are talking about paving, by paving, if they are talking about the replacement of some concrete pavement, I would believe that yes, they replaced some concrete over there. But regarding the asphalt, I haven't seen during my site visit, I haven't seen any kind of asphalt repair or sealing, nothing. So they need to respond to that as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Shibata?
Thank you, Chair. One moment.
Creating on
So
inside.
not to be repetitive, I was expecting updated photos as they stated that the work that has not been completed as of the submission date would be completed by the hearing date. I think that's might be what they were referring to, the asphalt that wasn't completed. I think that last paragraph in the cover letter was a catch-all to to say that if my photos aren't reflective of the work that's done, then it will be completed by the time the case is heard. So if they have updated photos, while I don't think it's appropriate for us to have to review that on the fly, I would appreciate receiving them if the work is completed as they say it would be. Commissioner Champa referenced the recess of the sign on Brady Avenue, and I was thinking if you could move the sign back in efforts to, if you could slightly recess the sign in efforts not to disrupt the gas line, I don't see why we can't slightly recess the trees so that to not upset the gas line. I'm not opposed to doing both the trees and a fence, as long as the chair stated earlier, the type of fence that she would be interested in. But I don't see that as, if it's good enough for the gas line, please provide me with a reason why it wouldn't be okay for the trees.
Fair. And the footing for a sign is significant, actually.
I believe you meant to say if it's good enough for the fence footing, it should be good for the planting. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I think he also meant the sign, because the sign they're pulling back has a big footing for a tall sign. Same. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to also mention that this applicant, I'm not sure whether they've appeared before us since the Zoom hearing started. Just as a reminder that during the Zoom hearings, we can't take any visual submissions during the Zoom hearings. So if there's kind of last minute data that is made available to the applicant, we can receive it. If you warn us that it's coming, let's just say the Thursday before the hearing, and it's only photographs, then it can be submitted like the Thursday before the hearing, but it cannot be submitted during the hearing. We don't have the method to look at it, other than where it's really on the fly. If we were trying to handle the Zoom hearings, review our notes, and then also look at PDFs that are submitted to us by email, it means operating 3 computers at a time, which none of us have.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I was just trying to look for the submission, and correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the applicant in his statement ask that, which I know generally the board doesn't like to do, condition some of the repairs?
Yeah.
I just want to, yeah, okay.
No,
So
they always ask the condition, but it's not really the policy of the board to do that, except where we've seen a continuous cooperation when there's, one less thing to do. And maybe that thing is held up because of some, whatever, permit reason, technical reason, like that.
Okay, I just wanted to,
Right.
I saw it in the statement and I just thought I'd raise it. Okay, move on to the next case,
I
Madam
also
Chair.
want to say that this is why I think that applicant may not be familiar with how we're working the Zoom hearings. None of our continued cases are decision. We don't vote, we don't close and decide on the same day under the Zoom hearings. Everything is closed, and then the decision date is at least a minimum of 2 weeks away, so that council has a chance and the project manager has a chance to make sure that the app materials are correct. And when we have a vote. So no matter what, this applicant asked for this to be converted to a decision date, and we don't do that in any case.
Right.
I would like to add, with regard to the photos, if we're going to get another submission of photographs, I take exception to the photos not being reflective of the current state. I think that's not something small. And on the next photographs, I would like that to be every square. If you're going to submit photos, let it be of every square inch, so that we could see it from different angles, as many of other applicants do. But to submit photos stating that this is the current state of affairs, and it's not that is, that's disingenuous, and that's something that I think we should consider making a policy of.
Right, well, it is a policy. It's like,
Just not listen to.
the policy is, don't submit anything that's not the case. Seems fairly obvious. Nonetheless, we get tons of submissions that are not the case. We get submissions we can't understand. We get submissions of photographs that are 2 years old. There's only, we can ask and ask and ask and ask. You would think it's pretty obvious to the applicant community that you should do that, but nonetheless, we see it. So yeah, I would say already it's been a policy probably since the beginning of time, and then and not complied with.
Policy is not gonna policy is not gonna prevent people from playing games. If you look at page 4 or sheet 4 or view 4, take a look at this. The 2 drums, the angle of the picture was adjusted very carefully to avoid showing the 2 drums in the view. If you look at the close to the fence, the 2 drums are like in the view, but they are like 2 millimeter wide in the view. So whoever took these photos knew what he's doing. He didn't want to get them in the view. And that's why I'm saying, if you do something like that and you ask us for like a condition or to expedite, we're not going to be ready to cooperate because you haven't helped yourself. We're not going to help you. But if you behave the opposite, that would be a different story.
It would be difficult to feel good with a conditional approval based on those photographs.
Yes, correct. All right, thank you, everyone.
Next case. Item number 166796 BZ, 210 East 86th Street, Manhattan.
Okay, as requested, we received a copy of the marshal's notice indicating the landlord's possession of the premises took place on May 13th, which is what we asked for. We have proof of continuous use since the expiration of the variance in 2016 until that eviction date or the possession date, in the form of photos of the theater's marquee that shows the film being shown, and it was interesting, the applicant indicated also when those films opened so that you can see more or less what date the marquees were from and the release dates. And they also provided water bills and rent rolls. So I'm satisfied that that's proof of continuous use. There was also a statement about serious loss as required by our rules, because they would have to return the theater. They'd have to do significant construction to return the theater to a pre-variant state, because it's a non-conforming condition as it is. Those, as far as I know, are the only open issues. So anybody else? Commissioner Shanda, do you have any comments?
No, I'm very satisfied with the submission. It was very thorough, and I think it answered all our questions.
Okay, Commissioner Otley-Brown?
I was satisfied with the proof of continuous use as well as the hardship argument. I found them both persuasive.
Okay, great, thank you. Commissioner Shaitan? You're on mute. Unmute yourself, please.
Sorry. Yes, I said I'm okay with it. I have no further comments.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Shabeta?
I'm satisfied with the submission and the arguments with regard to continuous use and serious loss.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Okay, next item, item number 17, 8599 BZ, 1106 Metcalf Avenue, the Bronx. Please remember, this is the review section.
Right. Okay, photos were provided of the site that looks very much improved. I want to extend my appreciation, assuming that the site, if somebody went on a site visit, what I'm looking at in the photographs is actually the case. I want to extend my appreciation to the property owner here for finally taking our directions to heart after many hearings and doing so much to improve the site and consequently the quality of life of the neighbors, which is what ultimately site improvements are really all about. My only question concerns the landscaping of that fenced-in area that is very sparse. The landscaping is very sparse, and it backs up against the rear yards of the residents. So I would actually like to see more landscaping there. We could make that conditional, but I'd like to see the drawings beefed up with more landscaping, since it's functioning kind of as a buffer zone between this use and the residents, which is a good thing. And those were my comments. Commissioner Shanda?
Okay, so I agree with you, Madam Chair. A lot of improvement has been made to the site. I did have a comment on the landscaping, and that is more with the Metcalf frontage. It seems from the photos that were provided on June 23rd, the landscaping along Metcalf, which is the main frontage of the site, requires more foliage. So I will be okay if that is made part of the condition, but they need to show it in the plan that more planting is provided. I think in the plan it is shown, but it has not been executed. There is just one more question. Those photos
I have a question about that one. So you're talking about the double row of trees next to the building? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the compliance photos that were submitted, dated 6/23/2020, and I'm looking at sheet number 9 of 16.
Okay. No, so that's a photograph. So the plans show that's supposed to be a double row of shrubs. Is that what you're talking
Right.
That's what you're talking about. So you're only seeing one row, right?
I'm actually not seeing any new plants.
Oh,
In the sheet 9 of 16. I think this is the area where in the previous photos we had seen the compliance photos that were taken by Mr. Rickett showed a lot of plastic materials were dumped there. I think this photo is showing that those have been removed. However,
okay. Wait a second. So this is on the Metcalf frontage?
yes.
Hmm.
The one where you have the brick wall with the fence.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'll catch up.
So if you looked at the earlier photographs that were taken by Mr. Rickett, it showed that that area was being used for storage of recycled material, recycled cans and bottles.
Yes, right.
Since then, this photo definitely, I think, first of all, shows that those materials have been removed. It's been cleared off. Great.
Right.
However, this area also needs to be landscaped as per the approved plan, and that hasn't happened.
Oh, but there is not the approved plan. There was a new drawing submitted showing 2 rows of shrubs.
Right. So I'm okay with that being a condition.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Second part is same in this series of photos that were submitted. If you go to photo number photo number 5, there is a banner that is still being shown along the parking lot, and that was not counted into the signage analysis.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Bless you, Mr. Shibata.
Okay.
Commissioner Shibata, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that should be removed, because do you see the photo 5?
5.
Yeah, 5 of 16 that was submitted on 6/23/2020.
Yeah.
It says Supreme.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's okay. The upside down. Yeah. That one. Remove the banner, in other words.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that can be also part of the condition. I'm okay with. I think that, as you had stated with the earliest application, this applicant has, the owner has made a lot of effort to improve the site, and we can see the improvements that have been made. So I'll let the other commissioners weigh in on that, but I would be okay to make these conditions.
Okay. All right, thank you. Commissioner Otley Brown?
I agree that the owner has been making effort to improve the site, and I'm fine with the application at this point. And further landscaping could be made a condition of grant.
Okay, great. Commissioner Sheta?
I did visit the site last week, and I believe the site is in good condition. My only comment was I have seen probably 4 or 5 cars parking on site, and they actually were parking at a very odd location between the fence to the residential and the easternmost 2 pumps. So at the beginning, actually, I was under the impression that they might be like filling gas, but I did walk to the 4 cars or the 5 cars, and I couldn't see anyone inside. Apparently, they were parked on site. So I don't know why. So hopefully this is not like an illegal parking use for the site.
So I'm just looking at, so you're saying they were parking between, where were they parking?
You see that property line to the residential, the easternmost section of the site, all the
Yeah.
way to the east,
Mm-hmm.
between the 2 pumps and the fence.
So they were parking perpendicular to the fence? So you
No,
could,
parallel to the fence. Yes, 2 cars are like really close, and then 2 cars like next to them.
mm-hmm. Okay.
I took some photos, and I just sent them to Daryl. For some reason I didn't forward these photos to Daryl to upload them, but I just did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, Commissioner Otley Brown has her hand up. Yeah.
I was there on Sunday at the site and I didn't see that. So I'm thinking it might just be a fluke that you were there when you saw it.
Mm-hmm.
That's possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Anything else? No.
Thank you.
Commissioner Shibeta, anything else? Okay, Commissioner Shibeta?
I agree with you, Chair. I think that we can make extra landscaping a condition to the grant, and I'm prepared to move forward on this.
Okay. Thank
Okay, next item number 18, new case 200-05 Horace Harding Expressway.
Okay, someone needs to mute who has a lot of wind in their background. Okay, I didn't find in the folder proof of service of initial application to officials, but we know it occurred because we have a community board recommendation. So I would like to just get the record cleaned up so that we get proof of the initial application. And I know that Ms. Matias reached out to the applicant, but we still don't have it.
Right, I mean, he emailed it and it was just not legible. So I asked him, when you see the email, it says February of something and February of whatever, and you can't read the prints
Okay.
of the scan, so.
The scan, okay. But we do have proof of notice of hearing to officials for this teleconference with dial-in information. Community board recommends conditional approval. And they noted, it was basically the minutes of the hearing. They noted that there was an appearance by the Auburndale Property Association and Mr. Euler, who gave testimony. No, actually, sorry, he's actually on the community board. I forgot. So in his capacity as a member of the community board, he moved to recommend the approval of the amendment for an extension of the gasoline station and automotive repair to include a convenience store and extra repair bay, provided that the tires outside the property are cleaned up and removed. And an additional note was that the wall on 201st Street be painted and there be no vehicles without plates stored or parked on the site. Commissioner Brown, you have your hand up about this or? No, okay.
No, that was from the previous time. For some reason, it didn't go down. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. All right.
You did see the Henry Euler photos that he submitted?
Yeah, he had already.
And then I
those.
resubmitted ones with photos. I emailed you last night. I forgot to do it this morning. I mean, this
No,
morning.
they're the same photos that are already in the folder.
With
So
dates on them.
yeah, with dates. So we do have extensive comments from the Auburndale Property Association. So now this is Mr. Euler in the role of the association's property association director or president. And the applicant should respond to those comments. They're pretty long, so I don't know if I want to read them, but I'm hoping Mr. Euler joins in for public testimony. Otherwise, I'll read them later.
I emailed that to Mr. Duarte, just FYI.
Okay, so we do have fire department letter of no objections. I just want to make a comment regarding the plans. This is an 1141 application. So the enlargement cannot exceed 50% of the total building area that was permitted and existing prior to 1961. So we actually need to go through that. What was the applicant needs to go through that. What was the size of the building prior to 1961? Was it enlarged subsequently? Or is this the only enlargement because the total limit is 50%? The dumpster, there's a dumpster that's not in an enclosure. It has to be inside an enclosure. And since this is a proposal to enlarge the building, I would like to see the dumpster enclosure be part of the enlargement. And if there's an issue about floor area, then either the height of the extension lower than what might constitute floor area, if that counts. I'm not sure if there's a way to do that, or some other method of not having it included as floor area, but there is area to spare here in terms of the enlargement, provided the building wasn't enlarged subsequent to 1961 in a way that we don't know about. The plan shows that even after the addition, a container, a storage container will remain on the property. The addition should obviate the need for the container, which is a temporary structure. I've never been in favor of these containers. They look terrible. And they're supposed to be a temporary solution and they end up becoming permanent solutions. So to the extent that the container is for storing something needed on a site, that's what the addition should handle also. The drawings don't show the exterior finish of the addition, which should match the existing building and be of high quality. Again, this is a variance and I believe in a residential neighborhood. The plan shows, I'm sorry, there is a raw and moldy concrete block wall facing residences, which is what Mr. Euler was referring to. It needs to be stuccoed and painted, not just painted. The reason I say not just painted is because then it looks like a painted, really ratty block wall. So the stuccoing makes it more residential in character. Signage calculations need to be provided to show compliance with the C1 regulations. The compliant chart indicates that the sale of cars, which was a permitted amendment in 2002, no longer occurs on the site. So that should be noted by council in the resolution. There's an error on the floor area calculation chart on drawing A001. Total existing floor area is 1850 square feet, and the chart shows that, and it also shows 1841 square feet. So one of them is wrong, but according to that, if the 1850 square feet is actually an existing pre-61 condition, then the permitted enlargement is 924 square feet, and only 750 square feet is being requested. So there's room to spare in terms of additional storage and also in terms of a trash enclosure. There's actually room to spare for this kind of stuff. Okay, they should clarify which area is the convenience store on the calculations, and and also in the drawings, and show that it complies with the technical policy notice 8 of 94. The area behind the enlargement, which is about an 8-foot distance from the side property line, and it's to comply with side yard regs, I guess. It is not to be used for storage, and no lighting is to be installed on it because it would shine into the residence, and it should be completely landscaped, so it can't be used to just like throw junk back there. It needs to be fully landscaped. They should provide photos of the rear wall of the existing building so that we can see that what's facing the residences, and that's right up against the property line. So we can see that what's facing the residences is being well maintained. And then picking up a comment from our Deputy Counsel Vine, in the statement of facts, it says the enlargement of the building, and then it has blanks for delineating the setbacks. So that needs to be filled in. It seems like they were waiting for that data and they didn't fill it in, so it needs to be filled in. And the lumen spread diagram is done in kind of a strange way. And so I'm not sure whether, I maybe defer to Commissioner Sheta on whether we need a modified lumen spread diagram, but I'm still going to go around the room. So Commissioner Shanda.
Okay. So first of all, in terms of the submission, the radius diagram that is in our folder, I don't know, maybe it was not properly uploaded because it does not show the entire radius. It shows a small portion of the page. So I think when it was printed out, it didn't, or when it got Xeroxed, it didn't Xerox the entire page, something happened. Mm-hmm. So just for the completeness of the form. My questions are these. The proposed number of parking spaces per plan is 13. However, the zoning chart shows something different, and so those need to be consolidated. And also the applicant needs to show the ADA parking spot. The applicant needs to provide a narrative in the statement of facts, statement of findings regarding the proposed enlargement. The maneuverability plan needs to be provided. The air pump that is located at the intersection of Francis Lewis and Horace Harding Expressway, I think is very close to the access way from Horace Harding and Francis Lewis, and may create a conflict. And I'm wondering whether that should be located to either along 201 Street or along the side lot line that of the abutting building. The proposed plan does not include the 4-foot high concrete wall with fencing. Somehow the plan does not show it, it just shows a dotted line. So it should be included, and as recommended by Madam Chair, it should be improved also with stucco and painting, and the fence should also be cleaned up and painted. Mm-hmm. Agree with you on the trash enclosure, the landscaping also. I would also encourage them to reach out to DOT street parking to see, to street tree planting, to see if there's a possibility to provide some street trees along Horace Harding and also along 201. I don't know if it will be possible along Francis, but they should give it a shot. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I think it may not be possible along Francis because it's emerging from Horace Harding, so it may not be possible, but never hurts to ask. Yeah. And so those are my comments, additional comments.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, Commissioner Otley Brown.
I agree with both of your sets of comments. The only issue is, could they break the signage out?
Oh, yeah.
By frontage.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've got 3 frontages.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Sheta.
Thank you, Chair. I was talking about the pictures again. This is what I meant when I said in another application, we're gonna see pictures taken and stuff got hidden. The rubber tires were on site, clear, and although they were there and they are there and probably they're gonna stay there for some time, the picture didn't capture that. That's not good. However, the picture captured the wall. I believe the wall does not just need to be painted, it needs to be repaired because I've seen some cracks in the wall. So I believe that these cracks need to be repaired, especially if this wall is retaining some soil behind it, and I believe it does. Regarding the mistakes in the statement of facts, I will add to this that the statement of facts start like the opening sentence. It says the following additional statement of facts. I'm not sure why it's additional. I did look at the initial submission and I couldn't find like initial statement of facts. So how come this is an additional one? Please proofread. Regarding the luminous spread, yes, I would like to get one. The adjacent building is commercial, but it's a medical building. So we want to make sure that like no light's gonna be thrown to that building.
So I just one thing, there is a diagram that shows lumens, but it's not done in the conventional way. That's why, that's the question. So if you could look at the actual thing that's titled lumen spread and see if that's adequate. I'm gonna pull it up.
I believe I've seen that, but
It's A005. It is not the typical format that we see it. Maybe the applicant is not familiar with our format.
Right.
We could share a sample.
Yes.
we're talking about A005,
Yes.
but this is kind of an elevation.
No.
Hold on. Probably I'm in the wrong submission. Hold on.
So there's a February 26th submission. Hold on, I'm just looking for it now.
Yes, February 26th submission.
Yeah, so what it's doing is
Yeah, I see it.
shows
I
the
see it.
radius,
Yeah,
and then it indicates, basically that's what you do when you buy light bulbs, more or less, right? So you go to the light bulb spec, and it's never a circle. It's usually like a blob. And it sort of looks like they just decided that based on what they get from the specs from the light bulb, that's what they're getting. But that really should be field conditions unless this is, well, it's that's part of it is some of this is existing and some of it's field conditions. There's an enlargement, but then on the canopy and the sign that's right on the corner of Hollis Court, that might just be remaining. So that's what we're looking at, right? And it looks like no lighting is proposed on the rear of the building, which is good because that's where the residents are. So, and I'm sorry, continue. I just wanted you to know. You see that? This
yeah,
is
I just saw the plan. Yes,
A05. Okay.
yes. I have the same comment. I share the same comment regarding the location for the dumpster. Like I said, the cracks in the wall, the painting of the wall, the asphalt conditions. So they need to address all of that.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Shabeta?
I share the comments made by the previous commissioners. I do want to thank Mr. Euler. I think that his insight is very helpful, especially with regards to the tires that were there and not there and back. We now know that we need to create a condition because of that. The only thing that I don't think was mentioned was the actual sidewalk. I think there's some serious damage alongside that sidewalk. I have not done a site visit yet, but from my Google images, I see a portion of that sidewalk that certainly need to be repaired. It's especially near the fire hydrant. Seems like it's in a real state of disrepair. And I would like that to be remedied prior to approval.
Okay, great, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry, yeah.
I do have one comment, and this is based on the letter that Mr. Euler provided. First of all, I think every time he submits a letter, it's very thorough and it's very helpful, as Commissioner Shibata said. There's one question he had raised, and I think we should discuss that, and that is with regards to the abutting building, which is a professional building. It is, I think it's a medical facility that has lot line windows.
Right.
And his concern was that the proposed building would block the lot line windows. I don't think lot line windows, these are legal lot line windows.
Well, what they are, so to just be clear, they're not required for light and air. I know they kept using the word, they're not legal. They're not illegal. They're not required for light and air.
Light and air.
First. And they're not, it's not illegal to have lot line windows. You just can't say that you can't block my windows, right? It's not, but.
Right.
And then the buildings department sometimes requires that a lot line window be closed if it's too close to an adjacent building. That's
Right.
a TV call. We don't have to get into
Right.
that.
Right. I think the extent we may want to look at, if there is going to be HVAC system or something on the roof of the building, we may want to ensure adequate protection is given to block any possible noise generated from that affecting the abutting building.
Mm-hmm.
Though I think most of the windows are going to be closed in closed conditions. Being a medical office, they would not, but that's just something to keep in mind.
They would not they would.
I don't think these windows would be kept open because this is a medical facility. But if we have any concerns with regards to noise coming from the HVAC system, that is something we may want to consider.
Yes. Okay. Great. Thank you. I think we heard from everyone, right? Anybody else? Any last minutes? Okay, we can move on.
Okay, this-
Madam
oh,
Chair,
sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Madam Chair, before you stated compliance with the TPPN, can you just repeat which TPPN?
It's 8 of 94 is the convenience store max, isn't it?
No,
No, it's 10 of 99.
Oh, sorry, 10 of 99. You're right. Okay, sorry. I looked it
I'm
up.
sorry, I just wanted to clarify that for the record.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
thought, that's funny. I looked it up and they gave me 8 of 94 and then.
Yeah, it was superseded.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I thought I was missing something. That's why I didn't say sorry.
No, you're supposed to correct me when I make a mistake.
I didn't realize it. Okay, we're good? Okay, this concludes the public review session for 2 p.m. We will now commence with the public hearing for 2 p.m. Only call in during your application. So the first case we're going to discuss is 38985 BC, 2090 Bronxdale Avenue, the Bronx.
Okay, so we actually have, whose is this? Mr. Duarte?
No, it's John Ronan, and I think he might have one of his people there
All
too.
right, so Mr. Ronan is in the waiting room. I'm admitting him. And there's nobody else.
Okay,
I mean, Mr. Duarte's in the waiting room, but that's a different case.
that's the fourth case. Okay.
Yeah. He's connecting to audio, so give him a chance. Still connecting. Sometimes it's slow.
Excuse me.
Mr. Ronan, if you can hear us and you're having trouble connecting, you might want to call in again or just dial in using your phone. Can someone text Mr. Ronan and someone called in. I don't know if it's him. Someone with a 917963.
I'm off my phone, I think. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. are you calling, you're speaking to us on your phone now, right?
Yes, yes.
So-
I apologize, but I'm having a little trouble. You know, my technological abilities aren't that great, and I've been having some problems. You can
Okay,
hear me
so-
now, right?
Yes, so just a second though, somebody must have labeled him. Okay, so thank you. All right,
Phone call.
yeah.
So I should stay on the phone?
Yeah, stay on the
Yeah.
phone. You dropped out of Zoom, so you're on the phone.
Okay,
Go ahead.
okay.
Just let me swear you in, John, okay? Do you affirm to tell
Yes,
the truth, the
certainly.
whole, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and respond honestly to board
Yes,
member
I do.
questions? Okay.
Yes, I
proceed.
do.
State your name, please.
My name is John Ronan, Ronan.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Proceed.
John?
Yes, I'm on the phone.
Did you hear the board's
Yes,
comments and review session?
No, I couldn't get on. That was part of the problem. I've been trying to get on for the last 40 minutes.
Wait a
I'm
minute.
getting some echo.
Okay, so the reason you're getting echo is because you got your YouTube video on, so turn it off.
Okay, so I turn off my YouTube. Hold on, I'm gonna turn that whole thing off. Okay.
Okay, so now you're just on the telephone, so.
Yes, I'm on the telephone.
Okay, so going forward, I suspected that's what happened because you were in the waiting room and you weren't listening to the hearing on YouTube video. You were thinking you were going to hear it while you're in Zoom. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So the
Okay.
way that let me just tell you how to do this going forward because we talked quite extensively about your case.
All right.
So
All right.
going forward, just wait for me to finish. Going forward, you just go to the YouTube on the BSA YouTube website. That's a live YouTube where you can see us talking about the cases, and you don't call in, and you don't need to, if you can't figure out how to use the Zoom, either contact our counsel, our general counsel, Kurt Steinhaus, for instructions, or you just call in like you just did, okay? But you
All
don't
right.
call in until your case is called in hearing. Up until that point, you watch the case on YouTube video, not on Zoom.
Okay. I'm still getting like an echo here, but
You're getting an echo in your phone?
yeah, all the information that you just gave me, I'm hearing it again, and I see the chairperson on the screen.
Oh, it's because you're also on Zoom. You need to, if you're on the phone, you need to hang up.
All right, I thought I got out of that. I apologize.
You're in two places
cancel.
at once, and nobody can be two places at once.
All right, I'm trying to get out of. I'm trying to get out of the Zoom here.
Just close your computer. Oh, now he's gone. All right, that's not working very well. Somehow he switched over to a Zoom. We're going to need a private tutorial, I think. Can someone text him to just call in, not to Zoom in? Just call using the telephone number. And the telephone number is. I don't think he's watching any screens. So text him in. Okay. Tony, I'm just telling you what the telephone number, you have it? 646-558-8656.
Wait, 646-558.
8656. And the ID number, tell me when you're ready.
Go, ID number
984
984
6012
6012
6245.
6245.
45. Yeah. Send him a
Yeah.
text. Tell him just to do that
I
because he has
just
to
did.
call back. Okay. Thank you. All right. So. We just need him unfortunately. Sorry, everyone.
You want to move to the next case or wait for him?
No, I mean, it's going to be too confusing. Then he'll call in, then he'll wonder why he can't talk, et cetera, et cetera.
Let me go on mute and call him.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. Maybe we should go to second call. I'm not sure. Tony, were you able to reach him?
No, he's calling in. He's calling.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Yeah, he has the call-in number. He's coming in. He has the call-in number and the meeting ID number.
Okay. And he said he was calling in.
Yes.
Okay. So let's wait.
Okay. With my internet going. Oh, good.
Apologies to the commissioners. We're going to have to go through our comments again. So there he is.
He's there? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see
Yes,
him on this.
I'm on.
Okay.
Okay, you were.
I'm on. I just called in.
Aye, aye, aye. Mr.
just
Ronan,
called in.
Mr. Ronan, hello?
Yes,
You're on.
I'm here.
Yes,
I'm here.
we know you are. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, so we can hear you. You need to turn off anything that is not your telephone, okay? Close your laptop, turn off everything except your telephone. You've called in with your telephone, all right?
Okay.
Okay, so that's it. You don't have to worry about anything. Just relax, okay? Tony is going to swear you in, and then we're going to go through our comments because you didn't hear them. We're going to go through our comments again, and then you can talk, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Tony.
Okay, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and respond honestly to board member questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I'm going to read.
Okay.
I'm going to read my comments and summarize some of the things the other commissioners said, and then if I left anything out, commissioners, please feel free to fill in the the subtleties. So we Commissioner Shetta went on a site visit and photographed the site, which the photograph was put into the record. And he observed that 2 drums that are usually associated with some kind of toxic material were being stored on the site, and that was not shown in any of the photos that were supplied to us. The 2 drums are next to the trash enclosure. These need to be removed because you can't store any toxic material there. Let me go through all the comments, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Tony Matias, our deputy director, said that she let the owner know about the drums and also about the plotting of the gas lines that are described in the statement of facts as a reason for not being able to.
My internet may go out.
Say again? What'd you say, Tony? Okay, sorry. I also, the photo that Commissioner Sheta took.
No, my internet's a little unstable. I may pop out. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay. The photo that the Commissioner Sheta provided also shows the trash enclosure gates are not attached to the masonry wall. And so that has to be attached. The gates are just flopping. Photos that you provided on June 24th show the asphalt on the side is cracked, on the site is cracked and needs to be resurfaced. We discussed this at the first hearing. There's a statement in the cover letter that has without technical support provided, that states that it isn't advisable to put in-ground planting beds along Brady Avenue due to the presence of underground gas lines. So the proposal is instead to install a fence. You need to provide support for the assertion that the gas lines are in the way. So gas lines are controlled by, I don't know if it's DEP or Con Edison or whatever, but they're mapped. So you would know, they would know where they are. So that information has to be provided to us. The fence, but our question is, if the fencing can be installed, that fencing requires footings, and you're showing fencing on the property line. So if you can put in footings, why can't you put in a planting bed? And as was observed by commissioners in general, there's also currently a low curb and a guardrail, first of all, in that location that also requires a footing of some depth. And there's also a proposal based on the gas lines to move that sign away from the corner inboard. And so the question is, if you can move the sign inboard, why can't you move the planting bed inboard? So the general thinking being that a fence is not an adequate solution in this to soften the relationship between this kind of aggressive commercial use and the residents who live across the street. The drawings don't show the property address anywhere. So title blocks have to show the property address, not just the block and lot number. The quality of the PDFs is very poor. We can't read a lot of the text and the arrows and the line weights. So that needs to be resubmitted, and to make sure that the PDFs are clear before they're submitted. There's an inconsistency between what the drawings say, what the statement of fact says, and what photographs show about the number of vacuums and the number of air towers. Every one of those things says a different thing. The ADA parking space that's shown on the drawings has to be indicated on the site with either a ADA parking sign or with the symbol for ADA parking painted on the asphalt. Also, the drawing needs to show the clearance between the open outswinging door on the sidewalk that wraps around the building and the curb, because a wheelchair needs to be able to clear that. On the elevations, there's something designated, quote, parking signs. We don't know what those are. Parking signs, does that mean you can park here? Does that mean no parking? What does that mean? There are lumen levels taken on Brady Avenue side. The question is, are they field measurements? If not, they should be field measurements. And last week, and it's mounted on our website now, we issued a new administrative notice that gives instructions about how to take field measurements. So we've instituted methodology for consistency. So you should be looking at that. Commissioner Shanda noted that, Commissioner Shanda noted that because the sign is being proposed to be relocated and there's a light on it, so that's really a light pole, that's a better location anyway, even if there weren't gas lines there, because it moves it further into the site and away from the residents. Commissioner Otley Brown noted that number 7 and 8 in the cover letter, so this item numbers 7 and 8 indicate that cracks in the asphalt have been repaired and restriping has been done, but the photos actually show asphalt cracks remaining, and they look they look faded. It doesn't look like new striping. And there isn't any work indicating asphalt resurfacing. This initiated some conversation about the board being dissatisfied with seeing statements that say something is done, photos that show it's not done, and site visits that further indicate things that are not okay, but were not shown in the photos. So in other words, that the camera turned away from something that was not desirable. I mean, the position of the applicant on behalf of their client is that they need to tell the client, you need to clean up your site. And if there's something on the site that you're aware the board would not be okay with, then the owner has to be told, move this thing. And then photographs taken to show a really well-maintained site. Let me see. What type of light? Oh, the lighting plan needs to show the type of lighting fixture and what type, so it actually the specification of the fixture or the type of fixture, so that when we look at the lighting plan, we can understand that the lighting plan actually makes sense. Also we need always, when photos are provided, we need a key plan, because we don't know where the photos are taken from. And so you should never submit photos without a key plan. And there was a mention in the cover letter that we received that we were going to be getting updated photos before the hearing. We never got those. And I want to underscore that while these hearings are being conducted online, and maybe this is a permanent situation, or maybe this approach is a permanent situation, we can't take images submitted during the hearing. There isn't really a practical, technical way for us to review them on the fly like this during the hearings. So if you want to submit, like say, a photo of work that just happened last week, it needs to be submitted the week before the hearing, with a heads up in your initial cover letter that's submitted on time, announcing that we should be expecting additional materials by, say, the Thursday before the hearing. And then, right, okay. Anybody want to add to what I just said? I was trying to paraphrase everyone, but maybe I left something out. Anybody else? Okay, so the commissioners seem to be okay with my summary. So, okay, Mr. Ronan, did you understand?
Yes, I think I can address a few of them, and hopefully to your satisfaction. With regard to the two drums, I spoke with the contractor this morning. The two drums have now been removed from the site, and we can, provide compliance photographs before the next hearing on this matter. As far as the gas line, yes, I understand that we'll have to submit evidence from the city agency that actually maps these things. Presumably, it'll be the Department of Environmental Protection. We did note when we were out there that there were markings on the ground and that there was in fact a gas line there. But we will of course submit the map from the DEP.
Mm-hmm.
Concerning the trash enclosure gate, certainly we'll make certain that that gets properly attached. With regard to the asphalt, we've explained to the contractor several times what's needed. I've been, trying to coordinate this remotely. I have not been out to the site, and I looked at the photos, and I can see that there's still work that has to be done. So that they're going to have to be filled in, and it's going to have to be resurfaced, the entire site. That's what I'm looking at, and I will let them know, and we will get that done. I don't know how long that'll take, but I understand it has to be done. The in-ground planting along Brady Avenue, we just don't think that that's going to work. I mean, it's going to be too close to the pipeline, to the gas line, and to try and get around it, I just don't think it's feasible. we understand that there has to be screening there, and we're not trying to save money by not putting the planting in. I think the fencing with its supports is going to be, you know, a substantial expense, which we are, of course, willing to do. It's just that the planting does not seem to make sense.
So before you go on with that, until we see what the real subterranean condition is, we don't know, because it sounds like conjecture. We don't actually know where the gas lines are. And as was pointed out by the commissioners, if it's okay to move the sign inboard, why can't you move the planting inboard to clear the gas lines? And if that's not possible, then it should be above ground planting beds that just have their footings in the ground, as opposed to the 4-foot deep tree bowl. So they would be above grade. And the issue being that a fence is not a softening condition. I mean, you're opposite. And again, I always run it like this. If you pretend you live in those houses, that apartment building across the street, what would it be like for you
Right.
to look out the window and see this?
I understand. I would not expect someone to endure what I would not be willing to endure. The reason that was looked at as far as putting the planting back a little bit, but then we found we were interfering with the parking spaces. There's going to be, I think there's 4 parking spaces plus the handicap space on that side of the building, on the Brady Avenue, Bronx Park East quadrant. How do I move them back so that I don't affect the maneuverability of people getting in and out of those 5 spaces?
Well, it looks like you have plenty of room, frankly, to do it. So, yeah.
Well, okay, no, I mean, if that can be done, that's. But you're right. I mean, the first thing we need to do, of course, is to actually see the location of the gas line on a map, so we know exactly what we're dealing with.
Right. Okay.
Let's see if property address. I saw that on the drawings afterwards. It was too late for me to submit anything. I'll get back to the CAD people, and we'll certainly have a new set of drawings that will have the address on our title block.
Okay, Commissioner Shonda has her hand up, so please jump in.
Yes.
You're still muted.
Actually, you answered it. I was going to say the same thing about the parking space.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, Mr. Ronan, continue if you have more that you want to add.
I'm just looking at my notes as we're going through here.
Okay.
I have a note here about the clearance space regarding wrapping around the building. What was that referring to? I apologize.
This has to do with ADA access. So you need to show that when the doors swing open, there's room for a wheelchair. So normally the door, you know, because we don't know how,
yes.
It's not dimensioned on the drawings. You don't see that it's a 5-foot wide path or whatever. We don't know.
Okay. And actually, I did want to mention, although it's not an excuse, it's just my problem. As I'm trying to get the letter together, I was writing things in anticipation of the compliance work actually being done. That's why items 7 and 8 in the letter don't reflect the actual conditions.
So I just want to say that methodology isn't okay. It's
Right,
not it's not the commissioner's job to test out the proof of your materials against the conditions. That's your job. We're not supposed to be perfecting your application. You are. And we read that as an untruthful statement. We don't read that as, you know, however, a methodological, right?
I understand. I'm having a very difficult time trying to do this. I'm going to continue to put it together and make sure it's acceptable. I agree with that. It comes across as me being misleading and at the worst be outright deceitful. That's not my intent, and we will certainly get that resolved. I understand it's not an obligation of the board to rectify that in any way.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
I'm just.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think I got much of what you said. I think I can view your comments later when the YouTube is posted. And again, I apologize. I'm having a very difficult time with this. I'm behind on the technology train, but I'm trying to catch up.
So no. So I just want to say you don't have to catch up. All you have to do is watch us on YouTube. And when we call your case during the hearing, you call in using your telephone. We're aware that there's a time delay, so we give you a few minutes to catch up. But other than that, you don't need to, if it's a problem, joining the Zoom. And then the submission of the materials is the same as you've been submitting all along. You submit it as an attachment to emails, right? You submit as an attachment to emails, but you must check the quality of what you're submitting before you hit the send button. If you can't read the PDFs, either can we. Okay. Good. All right then. So I'd like to invite members of the public if they would like to speak on this application.
38985 BZ 2090 Bronxdale Avenue, the Bronx.
Okay. And in the meantime, so Mr. Ronan, we don't assign the continued hearing dates during the Zoom video. I ask how much time you need, and then we try to accommodate that time schedule. And then we let you know in a few days what the next hearing is on this. Okay. So give me an idea how much time you need for this.
I would think 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, is that realistic to answer all our questions properly?
Well, it's hard for me to make that assessment because I'm dealing with contractors that I'm not their top priority, and yeah, it's realistic. 6 weeks would be realistic. Yeah.
6 weeks to submit. Okay, so and how do you prove that the contractors did the work? They send you photos of the work. Really easy. They have phones, they take the pictures, they say, look, asphalt fixed. And then you can forward that to us.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. So no one called in on this. So thank you. And we're going to move on to the next. And by the way, if you have questions, technical questions, please feel free to reach out to Ms. Matias and also Mr. Steinhaus, who will help you with the Zoom.
All right. I have another item coming up as item number 16. So I should just wait a few minutes and then call in on that one?
Yes.
Okay.
So actually, then more than wait a few minutes. Let's do it like this. Two things. Now you can go back and watch the hearing on Zoom. So you practice. I'm not Zoom, sorry, on the YouTube video. You go on to the link that you see when you go to the BSA website. You'll see the first thing you see there is a link to YouTube, and the hearing is live on YouTube. So you should be watching the next case that's happening on YouTube, and then we'll announce your case. And that is the information where now you should dial into the number you already called.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Mr. Ronan, I do have one comment. If you could, before submitting the next round of photographs, if you could be sure that these are accurate photos of the site, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Thank you.
Item number 16, 6796 BZ 210 East 86th Street, Manhattan. This is Ackerman, Lisa Rantia.
Mm-hmm. You could text her as well, maybe, Tony. This is yours, right, Tony?
Yeah, she had a little issue before earlier. We were on your case. So let me just get
Oh,
my.
there she is. She's here. She's here.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, just give her a chance to connect to audio. When you can hear us, Ms. Arantia, state your name.
There she is.
Afternoon. Lisa Orantia, Ackerman LLP for the applicant.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and respond on city board member questions?
Yes.
Okay, proceed.
I heard the board's comments earlier this afternoon, and I understand that the last submission was acceptable. It addressed all the board's questions raised at the last hearing.
Right, okay, right. So I don't actually think there's anything else we need to do. So unless a commissioner has a comment that they'd like to make, in which case just wave your hand. Okay, so then I'd like to make a motion to close this. Oh, sorry, I have to, yes, thank you, Kurt. Okay, so.
The public, I was just gonna
I
say the
would like
public.
to thank Kurt. This Kurt always has the signal is, there's a public hearing
Hearing.
on the screen. Thank you, I appreciate that. So if any member of the public would like to call in to 67-96 BZ 210 East 84th Street, please do so. Call in to the number on the screen.
210 East 86th Street.
Oh, sorry. Oh, it says 84th Street on the thing. Okay, sorry, 86. Thank you. Okay, so we give it a few, like, I don't know, 30 seconds. I was timing it before. Okay, so then, thank you. So then, nobody has called in, right? Just to make sure. Nobody has called in on this item, so then I would like to make a motion to close.
Chair Perlmutter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Shabeta.
Aye.
Okay, so this is closed and we'll set the decision date as soon as possible. There's nothing to submit on this. So thank you very much for the really excellent submission that made this. So, and have a nice day.
All right, thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Next item is item number 17, 8599 BZ 1106 Metcalf Avenue, the Bronx. Right?
Okay, this is Mr. Ronan's queue. Please dial in to the phone number that you called before, 646-558-8656, and the password 984-6012-6245. And I think we're going to need to go through our comments on this one again. And Tony, if you could hit the resend on your text that you sent him earlier.
Sorry.
Ah, there he is. Okay.
Is it?
Hi, Mr. Ronan, when you can hear us, state your name.
Yeah, yes, this is John Ronan.
Okay,
Yay,
bravo.
okay.
That's the way to do it.
Okay,
Okay,
let me
so
swear you in. Wait, I gotta swear him in?
just a second. So, Mr.
Oh.
Ronan, if you have your YouTube video on, you need to close your computer or turn off the YouTube video, or you're going to hear feedback, okay?
Yes, I have everything shut off except for my phone.
Great, okay. So this case, oh, go ahead, Tony, I'm sorry.
All right, Mr. Ronan, do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
So am I correct that you didn't hear our comments about this one either?
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm again going to read my comments and summarize the commissioners. And again, commissioners, if I left anything out, please feel free to jump in. So photos were provided of the site that looks very much improved. And I want to extend my appreciation to the property owner for finally taking our directions to heart after many hearings and doing so much to improve the site and consequently the quality of life for the neighbors. My only question concerns the landscaping of the fenced-in area that is very sparse and backs up against the rear yards of residences. And then we had a comment from Commissioner Shanda, who indicated the same issue with respect to the landscaping that's along Metcalf that's supposed to, on the drawings, it's shown as a double row of trees, but the photos are actually revealing from one angle, it looks like there's lots of trees, and from another, it looks like there's 3 trees, and there's supposed to be many trees. So what we all talked about is because of the cooperation of the owner, we agreed that the missing landscaping that's shown on the drawings could be made a condition to approval, as opposed to holding this up to see the landscaping in place. But again, those photographs were submitted as compliance photographs, and it shows that it's not in compliance with the drawing, with the proposed drawings. So compliance photographs are there to show us, look, the thing you asked us to do, we did. But the reason in this case that the commissioners are willing to allow for the balance to be done conditionally is because this owner made a lot of corrections on the site, improved it really dramatically. So based on the good faith shown by the owner, we're willing to pursue sort of the good faith approach of conditional approval. So also, whatever. Okay, that's really it. There was an observation that there had been some cars parked improperly on the site, but then another commissioner went and didn't see that issue. So we thought maybe it's a temporary condition. Did I leave anything out, commissioners? Commissioner Shanda?
Yeah, the one question was the extra banner.
Oh, yes, yes. So removal of that banner that says Supreme? Yeah. Okay. So there's this, one of the photographs you provided shows a banner that's kind of haphazard and backwards. The photograph shows it backwards, and it says Supreme with a plus. So that should be removed. Okay. Okay, Mr. Ronan, could you hear
Yes.
us? Okay.
Yes, I can. I heard everything.
Okay. So proceed.
Okay. I appreciate the fact that you'll make the planting something that will be a conditional item on the approval. This again is something that we've discussed numerous times, and actually we had a bit of a problem with the person who did the planting, telling us that in fact we were challenging him and that he put in the required number of plants. And we said, look, it's not, we gave you a landscape drawing. There was a landscape drawing on this, and this is the way they were supposed to be planted, not such that you created this space where something else could take place there at the time they were putting in recyclables. That's all been resolved, and we fully understand that that the planting is going to have to comply with the landscape drawing. I assume when the board puts this in its resolution, that it'll tie it right in, that it has to be done the way the landscape drawing showed that it was to be done. And we have no problems with that. Certainly this banner, Supreme Plus, I'm not quite sure where that is, but I'll definitely see that it's removed. I
Okay.
appreciate the fact that, we were finally able to get this one resolved. There were a lot of issues that we had with this site, and we were able to get all the promotional signage outside the service building that was, the convenience store. The board may wish to, put that in their resolution as well, that it has to remain that way. We made that very clear to them that it wasn't a one-time thing. They could not put those signs back, and they have to stay out of that window. But, I believe that's it.
Yeah, and Commissioner Shetta has his hands up, so go ahead. Unmute yourself, though.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say that I just got an email with the photos that I requested Daryl to upload them for the sites for the parking cars. So you can take a look at them if you want.
So the photo that you took, you mean?
Yes,
Oh, okay. So in other words, you went on a site visit when?
July 6th. That was July 6th around noon time.
Okay. So in our record now, we have photographs taken by Commissioner Shetta of cars parked parallel to the fence right near the pumps. And what it does is it creates a very tight pass-by for cars that are going to the pumps. And that's not where the parking is supposed to be. Somebody has.
You're breaking up on me.
Yeah, so are you in a place with a lot of?
I can't hear you. You're breaking up.
Okay, are you?
Hello?
Can you hear now?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Are you in a place where there's a lot of wind?
No, I'm actually at my desk at home.
Okay, someone else. Everyone has to mute because someone has wind, and that's making it hard to. So please, everyone mute, including Tony, please. Okay, so what I was saying is Commissioner Shetta, sorry, Commissioner Shetta has went on a site visit on July 7th and has photographs that are now in the record that show that cars were parked parallel to the fence, not allowing for much clearance or the preferred clearance between those parked cars and the pumps. So that's not how the site is laid out. If you look at the layout of the site, there's to be no parallel parking along the fence neck that's adjacent to the pumps. So, and Commissioner Otley Brown went on a subsequent site visit, or a different one, subsequent to July 7th, correct?
Yesterday.
Yesterday, okay, and didn't see that condition, but that should be something that you alert your client to, and we'll have that as part of the conditions, that parking is only permitted pursuant to the drawings as shown on the layout of the drawings. But I didn't understand one of the things you said about the landscaper, and you told the landscaper to, and I see Commissioner Shetta's hand up, just one second.
What
I just want to correct the record. The pictures I took were July 6th, not July 7th.
Okay. So
yes, what I was saying is we've been monitoring the progress of the contractor. Now, the contractor actually did the planting. It wasn't a landscape architect. The planting was done by the contractor. And when we went out after the planting was done, we said, look, this is, something that doesn't agree with what we gave you. And the response, he was rather defensive, saying, well, no, I put in everything that's supposed to be on this landscape drawing. So our position was, well, no, it's on a landscape drawing for a reason, because a landscape architect looks at a space and he looks and he sees how the roots are going to establish themselves, how they're going to deal with other plantings around them. That's the reason it's laid out this way. Just because something says 10 plantings, you can't put them any place you want. As long as you have 10, it's not the way it's set up. So we've been on a running battle with this, and certainly we would have no problem with the board, specifically conditioning that. Said, look, the plantings as they're shown on your proposed condition drawing has to, agree with what's out in the site, not that they're pushed back.
Okay, so Mr. Ronan, the board doesn't want to know about your problems with your contractor.
No, I understand. I just thought you.
No, but this is the point. When you're submitting something and you represent that you're complying, and it's called compliance photographs, that's actually what you've labeled this submission. It's indicating that what I'm about to look at looks like the drawings, looks like the deal. And so instead, you should have written that this is a in progress photo that only shows 3 trees in this location, as opposed to, there's supposed to be 2, 4, 6. There's supposed to be 12 trees along that Metcalf area frontage, and there are 3. So that's not even remotely resembling the drawings. So one of the things that upsets us is that there's a representation that it complies when it by no stretch does it comply with respect, in this case, to the landscaping, right? And again, we're willing to make this conditional only because we see cooperation by the owner, but I'm very confused by the idea that the landscaper that's hired doesn't know how to read a set of drawings and is haphazardly putting in whatever they're putting in, and that's being allowed to fly like that. So I need to underscore, when we have a set of drawings that are landscape drawings or signage drawings or any other kind of a drawing, what we see is what we expect to get. And if we send out we have a compliance officer, as you know, Mr. Ricketts, who's also on this call, we expect that we will send out our Mr. Ricketts to go check. And if there isn't any landscaping installed, then Mr. Ricketts can say, what's going on? Then we call DOB to go do an inspection. We've already done our inspection, and we can call the client back in for a compliance hearing, and that's expensive. And it means that they didn't honor their pledge. Okay, so I don't want to hear about the problems you have with your contractor. Fire the contractor if they don't know how to read the drawings. Don't pay them, et cetera, et cetera. That, so just need to underscore that. Okay, so I would like to, any other comments from anybody? Commissioner Sheta, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I would like then to invite members of the public who want to call in on this item to please do so.
8599 BC, 1106 Metcalf Avenue, the Bronx.
Give them a few minutes to do it. So, and actually, Mr. Ricketts, Ted Ricketts, our compliance officer, I would actually like you to mark in your calendar that you do a drive-by on this site, like in spring of next year, and make sure that we have, I understand there may be problems right now with landscaping, though actually landscapers in New York State anyway, I don't know about New York City, but the landscaping contracting world has been allowed to work almost continuously. That was considered not a high risk place because it's usually 1 or 2 workers out at great distance from each other. But so we're going to note that there should be a compliance visit. Ted, can you hear?
Yes, Chair, that's affirmative.
Okay, so if you could just put it on your calendar to do sort of a drive-by this site, just for argument's sake, like in May of next year, so that we know that all the planting has been done. Okay, and we'll make a note also in our resolution that that's going to happen. Okay. Like-
Definitely.
okay. Great. All right. So we didn't get anyone in the waiting room. So in terms of submission, I don't think there's any.
You need a
addition-
photo, you need a photo of the banner removed, right?
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Do you need any revision to the plan now?
No. Anybody need anything on the plans change?
Okay, so just the photo of the banner removed.
So, Mr. Ronan, normally what we do here is we give, we don't schedule the decision date, I'm gonna close this, but we don't schedule this decision date for a couple of weeks anyway. So if in the interim, landscaping is corrected, we might feel a little differently about this, right? So if landscaping is corrected in the interim, please submit photographs showing that the landscape has been corrected to look like the drawings. That would make us need to be less on alert, okay?
Yes.
Okay, all right then. So I would like to make a motion to close this.
Chair Perlmutter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chanda,
Sorry, Madam Chair, can I just add, and also in between this time, if they can also remove the banner and provide that photo.
Yeah, that's what we said.
Okay,
We just
yep, close.
want a photo of the banner removed between the decision date, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, yes,
Vice Chair Chanda,
yes,
Commissioner Otley Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Sheta,
Aye.
Commissioner Shabeta.
Aye.
Okay. Next item is 76456BZ 200-05 Horace Harding Expressway, Queens.
Just a second. Okay. This is Mr. Duarte, who's actually been in the waiting room all this time, and so I don't know whether he heard. So, Mr. Duarte, you have to turn off your YouTube.
How do I get in here now?
Hold on, just listen. I have to listen.
Oh,
Hello, Mr. Duarte, we can hear you, but you must turn off your YouTube video. Turn off the YouTube.
what happened?
Turn off the YouTube.
YouTube?
Yeah, turn off your YouTube video.
What? Yeah, I'm here.
No, you need, oh, hi.
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 But turn off the YouTube video. You tell your daughter to turn off the YouTube video.
Shut off the YouTube. Okay, shut off.
Okay, good. So the reason you needed it shut off is because we get feedback. We hear you twice, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead, Tony.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this board and to respond honestly to board member questions?
Yes.
Okay, you can proceed, Mr. Duarte.
Okay. The board had raised some questions after the initial filing, and they wanted some additional information and plans filed. One of them was the operational plan for uses on the site. So what we did was there's three uses: the gas pumps, the repair shop, and the office. The gas pumps has 1 or 2 attendants from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. The repair shop has 4 mechanics, is open 6 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the office consists of 2 persons to serve the public. The new convenience store will be open from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. and will be partly self-service. 2, the convenience store proposal is within the allowable square footage of 600, is under 600 square feet and is considered an accessory use. The enlargement of the building will only be 756 square feet, will contain a service bay, a storage room that will store the tires that are now you see on the outside, which should be in the garage, but that's what the storage room is for, and an office. The building is set back 8 feet from the north line and from the two-story medical building. You wanted a lumen diagram of the lights that exist on the site. Drawing 6 has been added to indicate the spread of lighting located on the poles. An elevation was provided with the lighting plan, that's drawing number 6, and revised the site plan to show the existing concrete wrought iron fencing along 201st Street and placement of the dumpster. All right, drawing 3 has been revised to indicate the wall fencing and the location of the dumpster. Drawing 6 indicates the 201st Street elevation. Okay, revise the site plan to correctly show the pump island, fuel dispensers, and attendant booth. Drawings 1 and 3 have been revised to do this, and you wanted the canopy dimension. Drawing 3 has the canopy dimension as is. If I can respond to the letter that was written in by a gentleman, Mr. Henry Euler, who was the first vice president of the Auburndale Improvement Association, which came at a late date. But anyway, the old tires that are stored at the rear should be in the garage and will be stored in the new storage room. That's the purpose of the new room. The wall of the eastern wall along 201st Street to be painted. The owner has bought the paint already for that. So that's going to be taken care of. And something about the window from the medical building. This is what we call a lot line window. It's not a required window. It's not required for light or ventilation. When the building was built, they put a window on the lot line. This is not a residence building, so it's not a required window. And the proposed extension is being set back 8 feet from the line. So the window is not really being blocked completely. Okay?
So, sorry, before you go on, the window where? On the gas
Close
station?
to 201st Street.
No, but you're talking about on your building or
No,
on
their window. He's talking about their window on the medical building. Okay? Because when you go to the end of the garage, there's a window in the medical building on the lot line,
right.
which not illegal. It's called a lot line window, and it's not used for light. It's not used for ventilation, because there's all offices that have their own lighting and their own ventilation system in the building. It's really a commercial building. And then he said something about the parking of sale of used cars. That was removed already. There is no sale of used cars. And so that basically answers, I think, I hope, what we have here at that the board desired, and hopefully answers this gentleman's questions that he raised.
Did you hear the comments from the review session that we had earlier?
Yeah, I got some of them, yeah.
Okay, you want to address those?
I'd rather you tell me what they are, and I'll try. I can't remember, really.
So you weren't able to,
No, I didn't get them down at all, no.
Okay, in future, please take notes during the YouTube, and so that you can go systematically through the comments from the board, okay? It makes it more efficient, because now we're going to end up having to repeat our comments, and it takes a long time.
Yes.
Okay, so, sorry. I'm going through it. Just 1 second. All right, so I'm just going to, so we're missing from your folder proof of notice of service of the initial application to officials. So I understand that an illegible copy was submitted. We need you to submit a clean copy of that. That's the initial application when you first filed.
Oh,
right?
you want a new application form?
No, This is proof of service,
I was sent in.
but we can't read it.
The
You
initial
can't
one,
read
Mr. Duarte, the initial one from February wasn't clear. That's what I said to you, wasn't clear. The original, the proof of service for this hearing was okay. It's that initial one that you attached, it wasn't legible. The printing was off.
It's not legible. The post office, the names in the post office receipt?
We couldn't read it.
You
That's
can't
what I
read
said to you.
anything.
Okay, so that's the first post office.
No, your initial submission was in July of 2019. Simultaneous with your submitting to the BSA in July of
The
2019.
first one.
Yes.
The first one, yeah.
Want another copy of that. It's not clear.
Okay.
We
Okay.
know that you submitted because the community board actually had a resolution, so that's okay. So, so community board comments were related to Mr. Euler's, right? Provided that the tires that are stored outside the property are stored inside the property, right?
Yeah, the tires,
Yes. Okay. And then the other comment from the community board was about the wall that should be painted. My reaction was, no, the wall shouldn't be painted. It should be stuccoed and painted. This is a residential. This is a residential neighborhood.
stucco and painted.
Yeah, so stucco first, so it's smooth and nice, and then you paint on top. And the paint that the owner bought already will get to be used. I'm sure you can paint.
Any special color or anything?
That's his call. I mean,
Okay.
you don't want to do it.
Stucco, that's the wall on 201st Street.
Yeah, that very long wall that's made out of concrete blocks.
Stucco and painted, okay.
Madam Chair, if I may, though, I think Commissioner Sheta mentioned that if it's a retaining wall, it needs to be repaired.
Yes, sorry. Thank you. So Commissioner Sheta, you want to restate what you stated before?
The wall has to be repaired?
Yeah, Commissioner Sheta, please restate your comments. We can't hear you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. If you look at the Google view, you can see significant cracks in the retaining wall. There is a pattern of diagonal cracks in the walls. And I believe the wall is retaining about probably 1.5 to 2 feet of soil behind it. To avoid like sudden collapse of this wall with these cracks, it needs to be repaired. Just to get an engineer to take a look at it, and if he says just to plaster it, just do some plastering on it. If he believes that something needs to be replaced, he's your engineer, but you need to get somebody to take a look at it.
That's the 201st Street. The 201st Street wall.
Yeah, it's the really
Yes.
long, low wall.
Okay, and
Yes.
when you say stucco and paint, are you talking about both sides of the wall?
Yes.
Or just the street side or
Both sides of the wall.
both sides?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm not saying the repair is to stucco and paint. I'm saying have an engineer take a look at it. And if he believes that stuccoing this wall is a repair, you could do that. If he believes that some sections need to be replaced and rebuilt, it's up to him. This is his scope.
Okay.
Okay, so it's two different things. Commissioner Sheta is concerned about the stability of the wall, the integrity of the wall, and I'm concerned about the aesthetics of the wall. This is in a residential neighborhood, and we want it to look appropriate
Okay.
for a residential neighborhood. And I believe Commissioner Shanda also noted that the fence that sits on top of the wall needs to be repainted, right? It's great.
Painted fence. Okay. Very good.
Okay.
Have we
Sorry, we can't hear you, Commissioner Sheta.
Right here.
received one statement of facts or just one or maybe more than one? Because like I said, the one I went through, it says additional. Was like an original one and then a second one or additional one, or it's just one statement of fact?
Mr. Duarte.
I didn't get that.
So the question was, and tell me if you can hear, the statement of facts that you submitted the last time, the most recent one, says this is an additional statement of facts. The question that Commissioner Sheta is asking is, Was there a prior statement of facts that, and we should be reading that one and this one? Or is there only one statement of facts?
Well, this is really not a statement of facts that I sent in an answer. This is really in response to your comments that you made.
Okay, so that, what you saw in February, Commissioner Shida, was the response to notice of comments.
Okay.
So this is a little bit of a problem that with our folders, we really wish the folder would contain all of the
Okay,
materials that the commission
all right.
is looking at in one place. But okay, different subject. All right, so I'm going to continue. The this is an 11. Someone has wind in the background. Everyone, including Tony, needs to mute. Except, yeah, everyone needs to mute. Okay. This is an 11-4-1 application. So the enlargement cannot exceed 50% of the area of the building that was permitted prior to 1961. So we need to know how much area was there in the building in 1960, for argument's sake, because the rule is under 11-4-1-2 that you cannot enlarge the building by more than 50% of the area of the building that existed prior to 1961, right? So
Right,
you need to
that's
demonstrate
correct.
that. So we need you to demonstrate that. So
You
give,
want me to submit that? Okay.
yeah, so we need the information about the area that existed pre-61, either in the form, maybe it's in the resolution, otherwise we need to get the drawing. I don't know, you may have it already.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Also, there's a dumpster that's shown not in an enclosure. So you need to, and the dumpster needs to be in an enclosure and.
It will be fenced in and screened, yes.
No. So let me finish my
I'm
sentence.
sorry,
Okay.
go ahead.
Since you're building a new structure, I would like to see the dumpster inside of the new structure with a real wall, not with a chain link fence, but with a real gate. There's no reason why it should be in a temporary structure. And I believe you have the area for it because based on your information, the existing building, assuming this is the correct number, the existing building is either 1,850 square feet or 1,841 square feet, one of those two numbers, which you need to tell us which one. And 50% of that allows you to have 924 square feet of addition, and you've only shown 756 square feet. So you could have the dumpster in a structure that even counts as floor area, or if you don't want it to count as floor area, maybe if it's a low structure, I'm not sure what the zoning says with respect to this district, but maybe if it doesn't have structural headroom more than like 5 feet or something, you could just slide the dumpster in and out of a lower structure, but it needs to be really enclosed in a building.
But you want a masonry enclosure around the dumpster?
Yes, I want it to be part of your addition. You're building this new.
Because right now the dumpster is away from the building.
Understood, but that means it's imposing on this residential neighborhood something that's dirty, that attracts rodents and doesn't look good. The dumpster should be stored inside of the building. And because you're building a new addition, the new addition should include a place for the dumpster to be stored.
Okay.
For the community, right? As
Okay.
opposed to these ugly dumpster enclosures that always look pretty bad. Okay, so that's I'm still reading from our notes. So am I right that the tires are being stored inside of that container, or is that something else?
No, they're going to be stored in that new storage room that's going to be built.
Right, but what's in that container that's shown on the drawings?
Offhand, I really don't know.
So you can't have a container on the property. It has to come off the drawings?
Well, the container's been there for forever.
Exactly. What's in the container?
I'll have to find out.
So the container can't be there. You're building a permanent addition. A container is a temporary structure. that shouldn't be there. The whole point of limiting the amount of floor area of the enlargement is to limit the amount of area of the enlargement, not to cheat
Okay,
by having a container also on the site, which is unsightly.
okay,
Okay, we're in a residential neighborhood, don't forget, okay?
yes,
Then the drawings don't show the exterior finish of the addition. It needs to show it, and it should be the same material as the original building, the main building. Okay, we also need signage calculations by frontage to show compliance with the C1 regulations, and I see Commissioner Shetta's hand up. Go ahead, Commissioner Shetta.
Yeah, regarding the container, I'm looking at a Google view and it sounds like it's used for tool storage. So it sounds like it's part of the shop. So they are utilizing this as an additional floor space to add to the shop. I believe regardless whether we're gonna like grant this or not, the container need to be moved like offsite.
Okay, either no container, no container is the short answer. And if you need more storage space for tools, that's why you're building an addition. So store the tools inside. You know, you can have shelving, you can have it in a little rack above. I don't know what kind of tools it is, right?
okay.
Okay. So thank you, Commissioner Shade. Then, all right. There is an error in the floor area calculation chart that's on drawing A1. It shows, this is the one I was saying, it shows an existing floor area of 1850 square feet. And then the chart that's on the same page shows the area of 1841 square feet. So one of those numbers is wrong. And then, as I say, maximum enlargement is actually 924 square feet. So you have room to play to accomplish all of these things that we're talking about now. On the drawing, you need to clarify which area of the floor plan is a convenience store, like hatch it, so that we know that it complies with the technical policy notice of 10 of 99, okay? Which area in there is a convenience store? There's also an area behind the enlargement, which I believe is that 8 feet distance where you're pulling away from the property line. That area should be landscaped, and no lighting is permitted in that area, so it's not shining into the adjacent property at all. And the landscaping is to prevent that area from being
Okay,
okay.
all right.
Okay. You should also need photos of the rear wall of the adjacent building. So that's the wall that's shared with the property line of the medical office. And that's to show that that rear wall is being nicely maintained. Okay. Then on page 2 of your statement of facts, which was submitted on February 26th, there's some blanks. It's like you're talking about the setbacks or something, and you left out, you didn't fill it in. So it's obviously.
Yeah, I know. They're supposed to get filled in. Okay.
So, and then in terms of the lumen spread diagram, that's not a standard lumen spread diagram. We actually have a standard. Your project manager should give you a copy of our standard. And now we have a new administrative notice that explains how it should be done. We want to make sure that you're not having any lighting shining on the adjacent properties, right? So Tony, please send Mr. Duarte a copy of that notice, and then also a copy of a standard lighting plan that we see all the time.
Okay.
Then we talked about that. Oh, and so I said the signage calculations have to be by frontage. And I think that was it. Did I leave anything else out? Other commissioners, did I leave something out? Tony?
Okay, that's about it.
No, I don't know if you had spoke about Commissioner Shonda said if there was going to be HVAC on the roof, noise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, HVAC on the roof. And then Commissioner Shabeta said about the sidewalk, it seemed to be damaged near the
Okay.
fire hydrant.
All right, so let me just, so Commissioner Shanda said that because there's a medical facility next door and the windows are so close to the site, if the proposal is to put HVAC on the roof of either the addition or the existing building, that it should be enclosed with acoustical fencing so that it's not disturbing the neighbors.
What's on the roof that has to be enclosed?
If you're putting HVAC, if you're putting like chillers or something on the
Oh,
roof.
I don't think that's going, okay.
Okay, so just clarify to us whether you're doing that or not. So say,
Okay,
AC on the roof or HVAC.
HVAC, okay.
And if there is, then show acoustical fencing around it. Yeah, Commissioner Shaita, please go ahead.
Actually, there is an AC unit right next to the window. It's not a big unit, but it's relatively big. What makes it, I believe, noisy is it's very close to the window. If you look at Google View.
It's on the roof?
No. It's on top of the door to the store. If you go to Horace Harding side, right next to the medical building, and go to the last updated street view. Right by the dumpster, where the dumpster is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm just waiting for it to load, so. But it's not on the roof of the building, it's in the front?
It's on the wall, it's attached to the wall, but it's a big unit.
Oh, it's on the side of the building.
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Next to the 2 bathrooms.
Yes, it's above, Mr. Duarte, it's an AC unit. It's a split unit.
It's a split, yes.
They're not usually so noisy. And it's not right up against a window, it's that.
So I just want to correct myself. I had not noticed this picture, the AC system. My question was if there was going to be in future any HVAC system on the roof of the building, then we should ensure that it is properly attenuated.
Right. There is actually, when you go to Google Satellite, there is.
Yeah, it wasn't clear.
Well, there's something on the roof. It may just be the exhaust for the toilets. So anyway, if there's any kind of noise-making equipment that's going to go on the roof of this building or is on the roof of the building, it should be surrounded in acoustical fencing. There is something on the roof, but it's not clear what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
The roof. Okay.
All right. Anybody else? What else did we leave out?
Sidewalk thing?
Sidewalk. Commissioner Shabeta, that was his comment? Yeah. Commissioner Shabeta, you want us to say again about the sidewalk?
It's pretty clear from the Google images that the sidewalk is in need of repair.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we're relying a lot of the times on, well, either site visits from commissioners or Google Satellite and Google Street Views. That's how we check on things. Also.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I think that covers everything.
And you're going to send me the information about the lumens.
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're going to invite members of the public who might want to speak on this. Mr. Euler may call in. There is someone who's here whose last number is 505. It might be
Let's see
Mr.
who talks.
76456BZ 200-05 Horace Harding Expressway.
Okay, I'm going to admit this one person in the waiting room who may be Mr. Euler.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, is this
Euler?
Wait till he calls the next case.
I'm here.
State your name, please.
My name is Henry Euler. I'm the first vice president of the Auburndale Improvement Association.
Okay, go ahead, please. Were you able to hear us?
Yes, I heard you fine. I heard the review session earlier, and I heard Mr. Duarte speak as well, and I'm very pleased to hear that everything seems to be getting resolved on this case.
Great.
I just wanted to say that the site in this application lies within the boundaries of my civic organization, the Auburndale Improvement Association. I'm also part of the community board, but I'm only representing my civic association today. We have no strong objection to this application at all. The owner has a very good reputation in the community. He's viewed as a good neighbor. We did have concerns that seemed to have been addressed. We were concerned about the tires that were out in the open, but as I heard today, when we had the committee hearing and the full board hearing at the community board, the owner and Mr. Duarte had promised that those tires would be placed in part of the storage area of the new construction. So we would like a condition be placed in any grant that may be approved by the board, that all tires be stored, that are currently stored inside, be out of sight inside the building someplace. We were concerned about the wall along 201st Street, and I think that's been very well addressed today, that not only does it need to be painted, but it needs to be looked at to make sure that there are no cracks, as Commissioner Shaitan mentioned, and that it should be stuccoed and painted and look nice for the community. We appreciate the owner's cooperation with this matter very much. The question about the window at the professional building behind the service station has been answered. I learned today that it's a lot line window, and we don't have to be concerned about that. So that's been addressed and resolved. The issue about the unplated vehicles, as Mr. Duarte said, that particular condition was removed from the variance, where he was allowed to sell used cars. And so there should be a condition in the amended grant that no unplated vehicles be stored on the site. There's no actual reason for that to have any unplated vehicles there. We're happy that the dumpster will be either enclosed or be made part of the new building so that it's out of sight. We would like to see some landscaping, perhaps along 201st Street in front of the wall, if possible. Or there's also space where the dumpster is now along the rear of the walls that looks like it could be planted. And that rear wall also needs to be painted and stuccoed and painted, I would think, because it's a little shabby. It's a wall in the rear of the building by the where the dumpster is currently sitting. It's on the western side of the building. Now, I don't know if the new building, part of the new building may be going there, but whatever's left, it really should be, fixed up too as well.
Does that wall face the medical building?
It borders the medical building, but the part that's facing the street, I guess, should be repaired and painted. I don't know what it looks like on the side of the medical building. I didn't look at that.
So there's the drawings don't even. Oh, I see. Okay. So the side where the dumpster is currently stored, the side where the toilets are accessed.
Yeah.
There's an 8-inch concrete block wall on a 12-inch concrete retaining wall, and so that's a similar situation to.
Yeah. It looked like somebody had put some graffiti there and they painted it over, but it kind of needs a little attention.
Yeah. Okay. That's. Okay. Go ahead.
And, any protective conditions from previous grants should be carried over. We don't want cars on the sidewalk, of course, and we don't want cars stored on the site. We don't want only vehicles awaiting service to be stored overnight, and the lights not shining on the adjacent neighbors, things that you've mentioned already. So we just want those carried over. Mm-hmm. And that's about it. I think we're good with that, with this application, and we're very thankful to the board and to Mr. Duarte and to the owner for their cooperation.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Euler. We
thank you.
Really appreciate your testimony. It's always very helpful. I think that's something Commissioner Schiavetta also mentioned in testimony.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling in.
Bye-bye.
So I just want to, so to add to that, that I didn't realize that there is this also this concrete block wall that's unsightly that faces, that's visible from both the inside and the outside of the site. So that one, that's the one that's shared by the medical building property line. So that one should also be stuccoed and painted. And your drawings are showing landscaping up against parking spaces. Oh, you have two sets of parking spaces, 1 through 7. So, yeah. So the parking spaces that are up against the medical building, they're shown parking into a landscaped area, I believe. That should be landscaped, actually planted, and we need a landscape drawing. So that should be, that should be in-ground planting with adequate front to back depth to allow for like an arbor vitae or something of that nature that grows to a height of 6 feet. Okay. Mr. Duarte, you're muted. Unmute. You're muted. We can't hear you. Unmute.
Unmute. Okay, you got me?
Got you.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So there's quite a bit of little work to be done around here. So I can see that.
Okay, no question. We're just trying to beautify the site and make sure the community is happy with this as an ongoing project. So, all right then. So we opened it up to public comment now. So how much time do you think for, we already opened it up to the public, so thank you, Kurt. So how much time do you think you need to submit responses?
Ooh. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. I would say it's now July. To submit sometime, I suppose, in September.
Okay.
Late September, probably.
Okay, that's fine. Great. So we'll let you know when the actual continuation date is. We don't decide it right now.
Okay.
But that's helpful information to be able to schedule you for a hearing, which will probably be sometime in late October based on a late September submission. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
As one of the community board members said at one time, this is the cleanest gas station in their area. Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
You can all,
All right. Well,
nicer. Okay. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your.
Thank you for your time.
And your.
This is my first.
Oh, well,
first.
Congratulations.
Between Zoom and YouTube and, and it's all Greek to me anyway. I had my granddaughter here with me doing all this stuff.
You even have headphones. You look totally cool.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks
All
a
right.
lot.
Regards, everybody.
You too.
Okay, so that's it?
Yep.
That's it.
So this concludes the public hearing for July 13th, 2 p.m. session.
Okay, thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Mhm.